That is me recording the webinar. Okay, excellent. So we do want to have this as an on-demand resource. If you're not able to watch the whole thing or you want to share this with a team, we will be recording. That's why I put this little thing on the bottom. I always forget. I always get into the webinar and think I'm going to record it and don't. But if you want to add questions in, do so at any time. We'll try to get to your questions in real time as the webinar goes. So if you have anything, you just want to know about it, and we know we're going to get to it later, we'll just wait for the slide to come up. If there's anything logistics related, I'll try and answer that on the spot. If there's anything best left for Alex, we'll wait till the end. So we do handle the batch of questions at the end. We'll try to get everything if possible. This looks like it's going to be a long webinar, so we'll try and get through the slides and through your questions as quickly and efficiently as we can. We will send out a survey at the end of the presentation, and once you fill out the survey, you will get the slides. And we'll try and provide a link as well if we're able to get it up on where this is housed. We'll probably house it on YouTube for the recording. So everybody will be on mute during the call, so please submit your questions in the box, and we are recording finally. Good. Okay, so a bit of just a high-level overview with SolarEdge. You've got three components. You've got the inverters, you've got the optimizers, and the monitoring portal. This webinar will cover the monitoring portal, so we'll go into detail on that. Real quick, let me give you a bit of a pitch on the monitoring. Actually, let me do something before I do this pitch. I have got a poll, and we're going to try and launch this poll. So what we want to figure out is how often do you, as an installer, monitor your system? So let's see here. If you could please fill this in, we'd love to get some information on how often you monitor. All right, excellent. Okay, good. All right, excellent. So we've got 60% always, if possible. We got about 26% sometimes, and I'm curious if you could maybe put in the questions on what do you mean by sometimes. That's always one we have to put in there, but we don't know what we're getting into. Only if customer requested 8%, 4% never. So I guess for 4% of you, I do want to pitch monitoring. So we'll go into that, and we'll give you an idea of what we think about when we think about monitoring. In some ways to use it. And for the 60% of you that use it all the time, this will help reinforce what you're already doing. We believe it's a best practice to always monitor your systems if possible. Right now, if you look at the US market, the average installation price a customer will pay is about $3.50. About half of that is soft cost. And for some installers, they do a very good job of modeling what their soft costs are. Some installers, this is very difficult to monitor. But a way to think about this is how often do you design a system for a system that you install? And some of you might be thinking right now, okay, well, I design it, maybe I'll redesign it once. But that's not really what I'm asking. I'm asking about all those projects you didn't win. And how many times did you send a sales guy in his car to a homeowner's site? He talked to a customer and didn't close. And then he went to another site. He went to another site. He went to another site. And you're selling and you're designing, and then you install one time. You have to add all of that up in order to get an idea of what we're talking about here when we say soft costs are 50% of the project. So things like customer acquisition and design can be very expensive. A couple sources here that we have at the bottom list customer acquisition anywhere from 40 cents to 90 cents a watt. That is more expensive than the panels sometimes. So, you're looking at a customer acquisition being a major thing that we're looking to in the industry to try and lower. And so we want to talk a little bit about how monitoring fits in to that. Can you make money with monitoring? Can you sell with monitoring? So these are two new resources. I want to talk to you just a bit of an advertisement. 5 ways to make money with monitoring. How do you use the monitoring portal as a referral engine? And that's one of the big things. I'll go into that a little bit. How do you manage your service? Well, obviously, if you monitor, you know how the system's doing, you can provide better service. Customers will go to Yelp, they'll go to Angie's List, they'll go to some kind of review site. And if you've got better reviews, they're more likely to use you. A couple other ones in here. The one at the bottom, Alliance program. We do have an Alliance program. You get points for every kilowatt that you connect to the monitoring portal. So that's important. It's, if you just install the inverter and don't connect it, you're not getting those Alliance points. And when you're getting those Alliance points, you can redeem them for nice gifts, some hats, t-shirts, that type of thing. There are service kits as well that are available. So take a look at this guide. It is in your handouts. So if you look at your handout section, you'll see 3 products in there. This guide is one of them, 5 ways to make money with monitoring. Real quick on selling with smartphone. This is a new piece that I'm working on right now from the marketing point of view, and it's something that I think is available and maybe very easy to use. It's these demo accounts. So if you look at your monitoring app, maybe in your iPad, it's a bit bigger, maybe easier to share with the homeowner. But you could imagine being at the kitchen table, logging in with either your company's account or a demo account. And the nice thing about the demo accounts is we have about a dozen sites, and they've all agreed to share their information. And you're logging in just like you would for a full site access. You've got module level information, you've got site level information, and you can use this to sell the experience of monitoring. So if you think about different ways to sell, you want to keep it as simple as possible. Some companies can go in and sell on electricity. It's dollar per kilowatt hour, and they're able to close. Some companies will sell on technology, and you got to talk inverters and panels. This is a bit different, and it might give you an extra avenue, an extra way to sell with the customer, and you're selling the experience of monitoring. So if you think about a car, you don't walk in and look at the car and look under the hood and then buy it. You take it for a test drive, and that's what this allows you to do: is take the monitoring portal for a test drive with the customer, and you can then leave them with that free app on their phone, and then they can do their own experimental test drive, I guess you could say. It's available on the App Store and the Google Play. Demo account is accessible. Within the demo account, you do have different access. So you have basic monitoring, which is kind of the green little, sun goes up, sun goes down. It's a simple interface. There's not as much to it. The middle one is very interesting with a small addition. Basically, it's a small little meter. You connect, and you are now monitoring the consumption of the homeowner. And look at what this does to the monitoring portal. Like, you go from one green, lump in the middle. Now you've got rich colors. You've got red and blue and green. You can see self-consumption. You can see red and all these little bar charts. And so it kind of amps up the monitoring portal without much hardware added to it. So the consumption monitoring is something to look at. Another one of your downloads, if you look at the attachments there, I have included the flyer that we use to sell consumption monitoring to homeowners. So you can take that flyer, you can use it with the homeowners. It simplifies what they're going to get access to. And consumption monitoring is a great way for them to do home load management as well. So if they've got a pool pump that's running and sucking down a lot of energy, they can go in and manage that. And I know a lot of installers want to sell a complete solution. So it's not just solar. It's LED light bulbs and a more efficient pool pump, and there's this whole package. This ties directly into that type of sale, and it's a great way to amp up the experience. Kind of on the far right is the SolarEdge interface, and what you get with SolarEdge is a very rich environment. Now you've got battery energy. This is at nighttime, so there's no PV. So the home is pulling energy from the battery, and you can see that. It's pulling energy from the grid, and you can see that. So this widget becomes available when you connect a SolarEdge and a battery to it. You still get all the consumption monitoring. Consumption is part of the storage solution. So now you've got kind of a basic consumption SolarEdge, and you can present that to a homeowner. All of these are accessible with the demo account. So you don't need any special access, and you can start to use the demo account. One other thing, selling with the smartphone. This is something that I've scanned through a bunch of installations. I don't see anyone doing this, so I thought it'd be a good idea. Normally, you upload a site photo. You go out in front, you take your photo with your iPhone. You just go and tell the guy to upload it or email it to him or something like that. Very simple hack that you can do to get your logo and phone number out in front of customers. So keep in mind, every time they look at their monitoring portal, they're seeing this site. Every time they share it, either they message it to a friend, they email it to somebody else, they put it on Facebook, they put it on Twitter, this image comes up in that platform. So now you take the photo, you add, I like a little transparency on it. It makes the logo stand out a little bit more, a little bit better for brand consistency. This is obviously not our logo or anyone's logo, I hope. And then hopefully that's not anybody's telephone number either. But you can see how this now becomes a lead engine for you. It's a source of referrals. Rather than taping your business card to the refrigerator, now you've got a software platform completely free. There's no charge for any of this. And with a small addition to the site photo itself, you just put the logo on the far right. You put it in the middle of the photo. It's not going to get cropped. It doesn't really get written over by these other temperature and power readings, and now you've got a referral engine. So a couple things to think about if you're not using the monitoring portal, ways to enhance your business to use the monitoring portal. And now I want to go over to Alex. I want to introduce him. He's our senior applications engineer. He's one of our local experts on monitoring, and he's going to run through what you can do with this monitoring, how to set it up, and all of the little details about it. I'm going to drop off. I'm going to be on questions. So if you guys have any questions, you can get a live response even while Alex is presenting. So Alex, turn it over to you.
Great. Thanks, Mike. Hey, guys. Super excited to be here this morning. Today, we're going to spend a little bit of time talking about the monitoring portal. As Mike mentioned, this is a highly requested webinar. So I'm going to spend a little bit of time talking about, the monitoring portal at its very basic level. So for some of you, some of the things I might be covering will be extremely basic. And it's going to go into quite a bit of detail, but this is meant to be addressed at people who have both never seen the monitoring portal before, never signed up for an installer level account, as well as those of you who have a little bit of experience with it, and just need to kind of brush up a little bit on the edges to kind of figure out where all the little niche details are in the monitoring portal. Okay, to begin with, if you would like to use our SolarEdge monitoring portal, the first thing you do need to do is connect the SolarEdge inverter to the internet. You cannot connect your inverter to your home computer and retrieve data. You do have to connect it to the internet somehow. This way you can communicate with our SolarEdge inverters. Our SolarEdge servers, in which you can review your production data either through logging in through your desktop, logging into the monitoring portal, which of course we will be covering today. You can also, as Mike mentioned, look at your production data through your iPhone or through your Android app. And right before we jump into the monitoring portal itself, I did want to cover very quickly the different ways which you can connect the SolarEdge inverter to our monitoring portal. You essentially have three different options. Either you can connect, an Ethernet cable directly to the SolarEdge inverter and to the customer's existing internet router, or you can install a Zigbee gateway, or you can install, our new popular option, a cellular GSM or CDMA modem. Okay, if you are completely new to the SolarEdge monitoring portal, the first thing you're going to need to do is go to monitoring.solaredge.com. That's our monitoring website. And if you've never created an account before, there's a little blue box that says New Installer, click here. Just click there to create a new account. The first thing you will be asked to do is, fill out a lot of the general information as anybody else would ask you to fill out. Your name, your email address, your phone number. You'll be asked to create a password. The requirements are you need to have at least 8 characters, a minimum of 1 letter, 1 number. You can use special characters, although it's not required. A commonly asked question, what type of system units should I use? Should I pick metrics? Should I pick imperial? If you're in the United States, pick imperial. What this will do is allow your monitoring portal to display temperature units in Fahrenheit as opposed to Celsius. For your email alerts notifications, you don't have to fill in this now, but if you do decide to fill it in, you really want to put in the email address of either your fleet manager or your O&M manager. Definitely don't put in a homeowner's email address. This is the email address where if you have an account level alert or if you have any system level alerts, this is the email address that's actually going to receive the notification. So as I said, don't fill in a homeowner's email address here, or You'll be generating a lot of questions and some confusion and unnecessary phone calls. Okay, what you do need, and this is an unusual situation, is you do need an inverter serial number. You need a real inverter serial number in order to register an installer level account. This is so SolarEdge can validate that you are in fact a real customer of ours. So the way you can find the serial number is you can look on the side of the inverter which you've purchased from your distributor, and there's a little sticker. There's a little example here on the screen of what that serial number might look like and what the key numbers we will be asking you to enter are. Just you only need one inverter serial number, and just populate it in here. Also, put in the name of your distributor, which you've purchased the inverter from. Please take a moment to read our terms and conditions. Click the checkbox saying, yes, I've definitely read it. And from there, I'm sorry, moved a little bit too fast here. From there, after you submitted your application, it's going to take SolarEdge approximately 24 to 48 hours to review and approve your account application. If for some reason you're in a hurry and you absolutely need that account to be approved right now, give the tech support team a call. They can expedite the process. They can review the application right away if you need a response much faster than 24 to 48 hours that are typically required. But if you're not in a hurry, just submit, sit back and wait. And if everything's okay, you'll receive a response from us in 24 to 48 hours. Before we get too much further into this webinar, I did want to take a moment to highlight account privileges. The main reason I want to go over this very early on in the webinar is I'm mostly going to be covering all the different features that an account admin will have. Obviously, whoever is the account admin is going to have access to all of the features that are available. After an installer level account is created, the account admin can create additional users. And there are various levels of privileges which the account admin can grant. So as I'm going through the webinar, some of you, may be following along on your screen, and you might see that certain boxes are either grayed out and you can't edit them, or certain features are not available to you. It's most likely because you have a different account privilege level. So if you're missing a certain feature and you think you should have it, I would encourage you to reach out to whoever is your account admin, and they can help determine if you have the appropriate account privilege levels. Okay, let's see here. So when you first log in to your monitoring portal account, the very first thing you're going to see is your site list. If you have existing customers already, you're just going to see a list of all of your customers, or if you prefer, you can actually switch over to your map view, which provides a plotted map with all of your customer sites. Of course, your site list view will provide you with your customers' addresses, the status, the size, power produced, and whatnot. If you're a new installer and you've just created your account, of course, you're not going to have any existing customers yet. But most likely, you're going through the process of installing a SolarEdge system, and you need to create a new customer site. At the very top of the screen, there is a little button that says, plus create new site. just click the button. There's a tutorial that'll take you through the process of creating a new site, and over the next few slides, I will very quickly cover the basic steps required to create a new customer site. Okay, the very first screen that you will be presented with is once again, just basic registration information. You will be asked to enter in a unique site name that hasn't been used before. So if any other sites on the SolarEdge website already has registered the name which you've picked, you won't be allowed to move forward. So pick something unique. You will be asked to enter the peak power. The peak power is the sum of all the rated module STC ratings. I would like to take a moment to highlight that this value is actually in kilowatts and not watts. So please be mindful as you're entering that information. You do have the option of displaying your revenue calculation. And in North America, you only have the option of using a flat rate. You can enter in a dollar per kilowatt hour value, and I'll show you where this will appear later on in your dashboard. But in the monitoring portal, it will display essentially how much money you've made off of your PV system. You don't have to do this if you don't want to. Especially if you're a time of use customer, then this feature doesn't really work for you anyways. The last field I really want to cover is the associated to account feature. I'm going to actually cover associated accounts at the very end of this webinar. But I do want to take a moment to mention that when you're creating a new customer site, by default, it's going to default to the user's current account. If you are a parent account and you've created several sub accounts underneath you, you do have the option of assigning this customer site to a sub account, and you can do so by selecting the drop down menu. However, this is not required. And I would like to note that a parent account can assign a customer site to a child account, but child accounts cannot assign customer sites up to a parent account. So just keep that in mind as you're creating a customer site. Lastly, there is a box here for inputting your physical map. This is a map that can be generated using our site mapping tool. We won't be covering the site mapping tool too much here in this webinar, but it is an app that's available both in the Google Play Store and in iOS. Okay. The last bit of information that you will be required to enter is the customer site address. You're gonna have to scroll down. There's a new little site location map feature here. You'll be asked to enter in, of course, the site address, which will quickly find the site on the map, and you'll be required to click next in order to move forward. Okay, here is where you need to register your equipment. You'll be asked to provide your PV module manufacturer that you have available on your on the site. You'll be asked to enter in the module model number. Most importantly, in order to move forward, once again, you do need to provide a valid inverter serial number. You need to provide at least one in order to move forward with this step. It's very similar to how you've set up your installer level account. Again, there's a sticker on the side of your inverter. and there's a little window on the right-hand side here that shows you how to identify that serial number. Um, and if you're installing multiple inverters on the site, you can take this moment and register all of your inverters at once. This is just going to save you some time in the future. You're going to have to register the inverter serial numbers eventually, anyways. So just take the moment, while you're on this screen, and register all of your inverter serial numbers. You can add additional inverters by clicking on the little plus symbol that's available on the screen. And if you have a gateway, you can also take this moment to register your gateway. It's a very similar process. There's a little checkbox at the bottom of the screen where it says gateways. Click that, and you'll be asked to enter in your serial number in order to move forward. Gateways are typically used by our commercial customers only. So if you're a residential installer, it's very unlikely that you'll be installing a gateway anyways. Okay, lastly, in order to create a new site, you just have to click the Create New Site button. Once you click that button, you'll actually be presented with a little pop-up window, and it gives you three options. The first option is View Layouts. This is where you would go in and build your site layout. There's a layout editor, which I'll talk about in the next slide very briefly. You can also create system owners. This is where you would register the homeowner, so that the homeowner can gain access to the system. Or you can return to your site list. Both viewing the layout and creating the system owners, you don't have to do them now. These are options that you can do later, if you decide to click the return to site list button. And just to note for anybody who's wondering where you would do it, it's under the admin menu, which I will discuss later. Okay, very briefly, if you decided that you're going to build your physical layout, you're going to be taken to the layout editor. It looks something like this on the screen. We're not going to be covering the layout editor today on this webinar. This is an extensive topic that can be covered on a webinar entirely on its own. However, we do have resources available to you. We have 2 videos on our YouTube channel. You can search for Physical Layout Editor Part 1 and Physical Layout Editor Part 2. And it should show you how to go through the layout editor if you do need a video tutorial. On the other hand, if you just go directly to the layout editor without visiting our YouTube channel, we actually have a pretty good tutorial that actually takes you through step by step, how to use the layout editor. Okay, if you need to add a homeowner later, here's how you would do it. So if you're on the site, there is a little admin menu in the upper section of the screen. You just need to click on the admin menu, which will present you with several tabs. And the tab you want is the Site Access tab. Click under Users, and there's a little box here for you to enter in the homeowner's email address. You also want to take a moment and decide, what role do I want to provide this homeowner with? There are 3 options. You can either present the homeowner with dashboard view only, dashboard and layout, or full access. And what that means is, as I mentioned at the very top, you have several different menu options. As you can see directly on the screen here, I have dashboard, layout, chart, reports, alerts, and admin. If you decide that you want to grant the homeowner dashboard only view, that's the menu that they're going to see when they log into their account. If you decide that you want to provide dashboard and layout, that's the view the customer is going to be able to see when they log into their account. Um, I would highly encourage you to stick to dashboard view only, as that's typically all a customer needs to see. Usually, any more information than that, it's becomes a little overwhelming. But you guys can make that decision. Um, and don't forget to click on the little box on the bottom left that says site owner, so that we know who owns this site. This is so that the site gets registered as a homeowner. Um, don't forget to click the save button before you leave this page. What this will do is this will generate an email that goes to the homeowner, that will ask the homeowner to finish the registration process, such as setting up their username and password in order to move forward. I do want to take a moment to note that this tab or this feature should be used really only for homeowners. Um, if you need to share this customer site with with another third party, I would strongly encourage you to use our associated accounts feature, which I will cover at the very end of this webinar, as it has very different privilege levels. But this is where the homeowner should be granted access, and not a third party.
So one of the things that we get a lot of questions about, and I can already see some questions coming in, sometimes the homeowner doesn't get the email, then what do we do? So this is a guide that we put together when you sell a system and you're right at the commissioning point and you just finished doing all of it, hand this to the homeowner or email it to the homeowner so they have this guide. This guide will walk them through the benefits of the monitoring app, but then on the back side, it walks them through step by step what they need to do to get access to the portal. And it's got kind of these type of advice features in there, add do not reply at SolarEdge.com to contacts. So what's going to happen, Alex mentioned, SolarEdge is going to send them an email. And that email is critical to them setting up an account. That email gets stuck in their spam folder. They never see it. They come back and say, what email? I never saw it. So with this guide, they need to add do not reply at SolarEdge to their contacts. The subject of the email will be registration to SolarEdge monitoring portal. If they do a search in their whatever they use for mail, sometimes that will make it pop up and they can see that it was in their junk folder. So this is a way to recover that email if they've lost it, or this will help them not lose it in the first place. After they create an account, that's when they'll be able to use that sign on and password during account creation. That's when they create those. They're going to be able to use that sign on and password then in their computer, their smartphone, to see their system performance. So this guide will help you kind of walk them through it, remind them this is access that you have. Download this app now. You'll be getting this email from this address. So this will eliminate a lot of service calls that we're sure you get, because we definitely get them as well. It's a guide that we put together for it. It is in your attachments, so you can download it directly from the webinar attachments.
Okay, great. Thanks, Mike. Okay, so now you've created your installer level account. You've registered at least one customer. So now you're back in your site list. Like I mentioned, when you first log into your installer level account, the very first thing you're going to be presented with is your site list. Um, but what's available on the monitoring portal itself. So to do that, we're gonna very quickly take a look at what a customer site might look like. So in order to enter your customer site, all you have to do is click on the site name, and you'll be taken to the customer site. But very briefly, I wanted to quickly mention again that here are the 6 different menu options that are available to an account administrator. And again, if you don't see some of these options available, check your account privileges with whoever is the account admin for your company. So we're gonna go through each menu, and we're gonna talk about the different features that are available. And the very first menu here that we're gonna go through is the dashboard. Okay, the dashboard view is actually the default view that you're going to see when you log into your account and you go to a customer site. You'll see at the very top of the screen there's an overview box, and it displays your current power, your energy today, energy this month, lifetime energy, and here is where that optional lifetime revenue box comes up if you had entered in a flat rate. If you did not enter in any rates, or you opted out of this feature, it does not appear here on the screen. Right below that is a power and energy really summary box. It talks about your energy production, and it provides you with the options of viewing your energy production over the last month or week or year. On the right hand side at the very top, if you have multiple customer sites, you don't have to actually go back to your main site list to look for another customer site. If you happen to know the name of a site, you can simply type it into the search box, and if it's a valid site, it'll quickly find the site, and you can go to that site. Right below the site search box, you actually have the option to customize your own installer logo and upload it. If you don't, by default, it's going to say SolarEdge, but you can take this opportunity to advertise your own company and put your logo up there, and you can upload it so that when the customer logs into their account, that's what they're going to see instead of the SolarEdge banner. Right below that, you have a site summary box. This is kind of a quick check, and especially since it says site status, it'll let you basically know the health of your system. It'll give you very basic information like your site name and your site ID number. I know it's not actually shown on the screenshot here. When the system was installed, the last time it was updated, the last time it essentially reported to our monitoring portal, and the peak power and the address. Right below that is a little weather box. It shows the current weather and forecasted weather. A nice little feature for the homeowner. And again, if you guys recall, this is actually the very basic view for the homeowner to see in the first place. If you scroll a little bit further down, and I probably should have mentioned in the last slide that I was viewing I was just viewing the upper section. So this is the upper section of the dashboard itself. If you happen to have a consumption meter, or if you're doing storage, you can actually view more than production. You can compare you can look at your production, you can look at your consumption, and you can look at your self-consumption, all in the power and energy graph. Okay, if you scroll further down, this is the lower portion of the page. There's a comparative energy box, and what this allows you to do is to compare energy production over several years. So you can, for example, take a look at the month of July, and how much energy did I produce in 2010 versus 2011 versus 2012, and it just quickly allows you to kind of benchmark how your system has performed over the years as compared to previous years. On the right hand side, you can upload a site image. This is an optional feature, and you could have done this during the customer registration process. If you decide that you want to do it later, you can decide to do that under the admin menu. This is a customized feature. Um, right underneath that is the environmental's benefits summary box. Customers often want to feel good about what they've done, about installing solar in the first place. They can look here to determine, this is how much CO2 emission I've saved. The equivalent amount of trees planted, and the equivalent of light bulbs powered. Okay. Next, we are going to jump to the layout menu. Okay, so if you jump over to the layout menu, um, this is basically where you can see, all of your inverters and all of your optimizers. I do want to very quickly note that there are two different views available under the layout menu. You can actually take a look at you can actually look at either the logical layout or the physical layout, and there's a little button at the top there that allows you to toggle between the physical layout and the logical layout. And I'll go into a little bit more detail about the differences between the logical and physical layouts shortly. Um, the layout menu actually displays, as I said, all of your inverters and optimizers, as well as your energy produced over a set period of time. You can actually select your energy production view for either daily, weekly, monthly, yearly, or total energy, meaning all time. Um, and the logical layout view, which is actually what you see on your screen here, is a very hierarchical view. To expand or collapse the hierarchy, just simply click on the plus and minus symbols, and you can actually zoom in and out of your screen with the mouse scrolling wheel. If you decide that you want to see more information on your different components, you can actually simply right click on any component that you see in your layout, go to info, um, and you'll see this little pop up menu that comes up here with further details. This is a details screen for an inverter. So you'll be able to see additional information such as inverter serial numbers, model numbers, firmware versions, and current inverter measurements. I do want to take a moment to really highlight a cool feature that not everybody seems to know about. Um, there's a little option at the very bottom that says choose operation. And you'll see that you have two options here, pair and reset. So this actually gives you the ability to do remote pairing with your inverter and your optimizers. If you, for whatever reason, need to do it. An example could be that your inverter didn't pick up all the optimizers the first time around. Your guys have left the site. It's going to cost you money to get back onto the job site. So before you roll a truck, log into your monitoring portal, and try to do a repairing. Oftentimes, if you do a remote repairing, it's going to find the straggler optimizer that you didn't pick up the first time, and it saved you money on a truck roll. If for some reason you need to reboot your inverter, you can actually decide to click on the reset button, and it will in fact restart your inverter. Okay, so I did mention that you had two views, the logical layout and the physical layout. Um, the two examples are here on the screen. I think the logical layout, as I said, is a very hierarchical view. The it groups all the optimizers that were installed on the same inverter together. um, so that you don't have to go through the process of separating them. And it allows you to look at all of the strings that are grouped together under one inverter. Um, the physical layout is actually a much more traditional view. It's a bird eyes view from the rooftop, and where this is most useful is if you need to do some kind of field servicing or troubleshooting, and you need to figure out exactly where each piece of equipment is installed. Um, I would strongly suggest that you spend some time kind of toggling between the two different layouts. To see that there are certain situations where the physical layout is more useful, and there are certain situations where the logical layout is much more useful. Okay, the next menu we are going to jump through is charts. For those of you who are involved in fleet management and O&M, this is where this is especially useful for you guys. Okay, so this is a pretty cool feature that we have. Basically, if you need to do some kind of troubleshooting, and you need to analyze some data, you don't necessarily need to export any data to do it. You can actually go into our monitoring portal, take a look at the charts menu, um, and you can actually highlight and graph specific components in your PV system. Um, as an example here, we have two modules on the rooftop that are slightly underperforming. Compared to the rest of the modules on the array. So what you can do here is you can select the two underperforming modules. You can select the 6 modules that are directly surrounding the underperforming modules. You can right click, go to choose charts, and decide which chart do you want to plot. You have the options of plotting, the current, the energy, the optimizer voltage, the power, or your module voltage. Okay, this is this is an example of what those charts might look like. Um, the screen in the back shows multiple days, and if you see a particular time period which you want to zoom into, all you have to do is actually drag a box around the time period you want to focus on, and it'll actually zoom specifically into that time period. Um, so you can look at these charts, and it'll provide you some additional insights. As an example, the screen in the front here shows that we have two optimizers, or really two PV modules, that are experiencing shade as to compared to their neighbors. Um, right up until about 12:30. Around 12:30, the the shade is it's moved past the shading point, and the optimizers and the modules are allowed to perform as normal. And in looking at this, you can quickly determine that you know what kind of maintenance you want to do. Maybe this was expected shade, and this is acceptable performance, or if this was unexpected shade, and you need to work something out with the customer. This will provide you some insight, and then you guys can make decisions on what are the appropriate actions to take in order to resolve the situation. Okay, reports. Um, for some reason, reports are not a very well known feature of ours. This gets requested all the time, and fortunately, this the reports feature is already available. So I do want to take a moment to highlight that there are 3 different types of reports that you can run. You can run a periodic AC energy report. That's AC energy for a select period of time. You can run a site status report for sites that have been operational for some time. But by far, for those of you who do use our reports, the most popular report is the site commissioning report. You can actually generate a report in three different formats, either Excel, PDF, or HTML. And I suggest that you guys log in and kind of play around with this. Where the site commissioning report seems to be most useful is for installers to provide a report to either an asset owner or a financer at the end of the day, saying, "Yeah, I installed the system properly, and here's some proof." Um, for those of you who have never seen a site commissioning report before, um, there is a very high level summary at the top. It'll look something like this, with customer information omitted. You get to see the total number of inverters available, the number of PV modules, and the model number and the number of optimizers installed on the site. Um, if you're interested in further details, you can scroll further down, and additional information is available. Um, this is more detailed information, and it gets into the nitty gritty bits such as firmware version, what the inverter model numbers are, how many paired optimizers are on each inverter, um, what one that's really popular. And you can see at the bottom left of the screen here is how the inverter is actually connected to the internet. It'll tell you either GSM, CDMA, or LAN. This is probably most useful to those of you who are in the financing part of the business, where you specifically are requiring installers to install with GSM. This is one way you can verify that there is in fact a GSM modem installed, and they're not just claiming there's a GSM modem installed. Okay, alerts. I know we're running out of time, so I'm going to move very quickly through alerts. So alerts, you can view alerts under both the layout and alerts menu. But I think the question that I received the most is, how do I set up my alerts? Well, if you click on the alerts menu, there's a little button here that says show rules. From here, you can edit, what your alerts rules are. You can set alarm severity levels, and you can set frequency. You can also determine who receives alerts and who doesn't. There are a set of default rules that are in place. Most of our customers use the default rules, but if you need to customize your rules for whatever reason, this is where you would do it. Okay, and lastly, the admin menu. Okay, I want to take a moment to mention that we do have a monitoring portal API, and it's available underneath the admin menu. So APIs are fairly complicated. If you need additional information, we do have an API guide available on our website. There is an API access box, which you do have to read the terms and conditions, and enable. Only an account admin can enable this, and it will generate for you an API key, which is required in order to use our SolarEdge API. If you need further information, please look for the API guide available on the SolarEdge website. Okay, very last topic, associated accounts. This is how you would share a customer site with a financer, such as Connecticut Green Bank is a really good example of somebody who the installers might be sharing sites with. They use the associated accounts feature, and this is how you would do it. Again, you need admin privileges to do this. So what you would do when you're logged into your admin account is go to the very top of the screen. There is a home button. Make sure you click it just to make sure you're on the right page here. There is a drop-down menu on the right-hand side. Go to My Account, find the Associated Accounts tab, and click the Add Associated Accounts button. you will be presented with a pop-up window. You need to enter in the email address of another account uh, admin. And I'm sorry, it's not even really just the account admin. It has to be the email address of the other account that was originally used to create and register the SolarEdge account. Um, you cannot just use any user's account. It must be the original email account that was used to register. You have the option of editing the subject line and the message if you would like. I don't think, or you can just use our default if you would like. Then you click the save and send button. What this will do is actually send an associated accounts request to the other account, to the other admin, and they'll receive an email. But you don't. If you're on the receiving end, you don't actually need the email. You can actually log in and go to the drop-down menu, My Accounts, the Associated Accounts tab, and you'll see a list of all your incoming requests. You can either approve or decline. If you see an incoming request that you recognize, you can approve it and move forward. Okay, so now the two accounts have been associated together. That was a one-time process, but now you need to actually decide which sites do I want to grant customers access to. So you go back to your homepage, you find the site name of the customer you want to share the site with, click on the admin menu, go to the associated accounts tab here. And if you have any accounts that are already being shared, or the site is being shared with, you'll see them in the bottom section below that says associated accounts. However, if you're wanting to grant access for this site to somebody you've recently associated accounts with, click the grant access button that's available on the screen, and a little pop-up menu will appear. From the drop-down menu of on the associated accounts option here, select the account you want to share with, and determine what access level you want to provide them with. The two features, the two options that are available are view only or view and edit. Of course, once again, read our disclaimer and click save. Once that is complete, you are done, and you have now shared a customer site with the account you've associated with.
Great. Thanks, Alex. I know we're coming up on 11 o'clock, or at least Pacific time. We do have a number of questions that we want to get to, and we try to stay and get through all of them. So, this might run a little bit late. We understand if you guys need to head off, no problem. When you get the survey after this webinar, if we haven't gotten to your question or you weren't able to get it answered before you had to get out, in the comments section, just add your question there and we'll have somebody contact you later. So if you do need to go back to work, we understand. In the survey, add it in the comments any questions that you have, or the comment section. But we're going to go through these with Alex since we have our subject matter expert on site. And we'll try and cut through them as quickly and efficiently as we can. All right, so let's see here. I think you've covered some of this. Some of these may have already been covered, so maybe you can go through them quickly. Is it possible to have multiple installer accounts for a company where all installations can be viewed, or should we all use the same account?
Okay, you can in fact have multiple installer accounts. The problem with having multiple installer accounts is, of course, you're going to have to go through the process of sharing these sites across each other, similar to how you would associate accounts. However, what I would strongly suggest instead is you create one installer account and you actually add additional users. And if you want to give everybody account admin privileges, you can. I would strongly discourage that, but you can. And that way, everybody can have their own user account, and they can log into the same account, and they can view all the same customers. Likewise, if there's some reason where you only want certain people to see certain customer accounts, you can actually go ahead and create a sub account, move those specific sites to the sub account, and create a user for that sub account. The account admin, of course, still gets to see all sites, but whoever is the user under the sub account can only see the sites that they've been assigned to in the sub account.
Awesome. First telemetry date was earlier. Maybe you could mention what that means. There's a question on that.
Sure, sure. The first telemetry date, and I'm going to be a little bit honest here. I'm not 100% sure it's working the way we intended it to. But that feature is supposed to be where you first start collecting performance data. For example, you might have installed a system, and your system hasn't been PTO'd yet, and you don't want to track any data or any energy which the inverter has generated prior to that date. So you can put in the date which you want to start tracking information moving forward. But again, I'm actually not 100% confident that it's working the way we intended it to. But that's kind of the direction we wanted to take that feature moving forward.
Okay. And are they able to set up homeowner sites in advance of the install and then go back and register the inverter after they install it?
Okay. You can definitely do that if you have a inverter serial number available. You do not need to install the system before you register the account. So if you already have a pallet ready to go and you know exactly which inverters are going to go on that customer site, just quickly open the side of the box, grab the inverter serial number, and start pre-registering on our monitoring portal.
Okay. This one is about a third-party monitoring solution. So if they have a third-party meter, in this case, set up, and that data is going somewhere else, are they also able to access the information on the SolarEdge portal?
That's kind of a complicated question. I'm gonna go with no, because the information is going somewhere else. We have certain special situations where it might work, but for the most part, if you have information that's going to a third party, at this time there's no way for you to access that information on the SolarEdge website.
Okay. In this one, the question is there a level of access for sales demos only? And I'm going to maybe split this down into a couple different questions. How can they, like in our monitoring account, they have public sites and they have demo account. How do you set up a site under one of those so they can see it under one of those? Maybe that's a better way to think of it.
Sorry, I'm not sure I'm following the question.
Like, let's say you have a site and you want to make it a demo account. Or you want to add it to the demo.
You mean if you have your own site and you want to use it as a sales or a...
Right. How do you do that?
Okay. I would suggest that you actually contact your salesperson and talk more about a feature that I did not cover in this webinar called kiosk mode. That might be a good way for you to use as a sales or as a demo tool.
There were a number of questions in here about, since you mentioned kiosk mode, do we need API access to, say, have a TV in our lobby showing the site? So setting up kiosk mode would be the way to do that?
Yes, that's correct. You do not need API access to display something on your screen in your lobby. Kiosk mode is probably the best way for you to do this, and that's actually what it was intended for.
And which page do they go to select that option?
Geez.
It's an admin.
I think it is under admin. I don't remember exactly off the top of my head. We can follow up with a more precise answer if somebody's specifically looking for where kiosk mode is available.
Yeah, it should be like a little checkbox, and I think it does say kiosk, right? Or kiosk display.
Right. I think it's at the very bottom of the admin screen.
Okay.
And there's a little checkbox.
And then once they click that, how do they see the site if it's clicked? Do they just get a link and then they paste that into the browser?
We'll have to release an app note for that since this question comes up a lot.
Okay.
We're running out of time, so I don't want to get too much into too much details about how a kiosk mode works.
Okay. All right. So this is about switching accounts. So this might be a little technical, but The original installer set up the monitoring account, but is no longer servicing the site. So the homeowner is trying to give monitoring access to a new installer.
Hmm.
How do they do that?
Okay, it actually depends on ownership of who owns the system.
Mm-hmm.
So if the homeowner actually owns the
Let's just
system,
assume in this case
yeah,
it's a cash or loan.
yeah, yeah. If it's a situation, if it's cash or loan, and the homeowner owns the system, um, have them call tech support. Tech support can definitely do this. If it's a finance system and the homeowner doesn't actually own the system, then it gets a little bit more sticky. But either way, just have the homeowner give tech support a call, and they can definitely do this. This is a commonly asked. Process. So tech support should definitely know how to handle this for them.
After creating a system owner, so they did the installation, they're adding the homeowner now, like what you described. The homeowner email in that screen doesn't show up until a little while later, until after the homeowner registers, or is there something that triggers that from showing up, or does it show up immediately upon?
Which homeowner screen?
So they're going in and they're adding the homeowner. So
Mm-hmm.
they go in, they enter the email, and it's supposed to send the email from SolarEdge now.
Right.
Do they see the homeowner's email in that screen immediately, like in a drop down list, or does it take some time?
It takes a little bit of time, and the reason why is the homeowner actually has to receive the email and actually register the account itself. It doesn't appear right away because if the homeowner doesn't register or the installer has registered an invalid email address, we don't want it to appear.
Okay.
Until a real account has been registered.
So they can use that then as an indication that the homeowner successfully registered.
That's correct.
Okay, awesome, great. Uh, there were some questions around entering serial numbers for the inverters, and I know you had a screen on that, so maybe if we just flash that quickly.
Okay.
So hopefully, if you look at the insert the serial number, there's a little question mark that you can click on, and that breaks down the serial number entry. So take a look at this screen because you don't enter all the. It looks like in this case that you don't enter the 0 in front of the 7.
That's correct.
And so if you have a serial number starting not in a 0 but a 1 there, you don't enter the 1, or is that because this serial number that they're showing? I don't want to share it with everybody, but there's a 1022. Is that normal, or is that maybe a typo in the way they wrote it?
Yeah, I would not enter it. Just start with the second character there. In this case, it's a 7.
So you just need what's that 8 characters. So take the last 8 characters and enter that, and delete that first character is what
Exactly.
looks like it may be happening.
Exactly.
All right. So hopefully that resolves that for you. This one, if on the module view, there's like 1.1.2, 1.1.3, and maybe you can explain that. I'll try and find this slide for you.
Yeah. So this is
Let me get to the. I'll get to the view if you just.
no, you were just actually on it.
Well, that was the site creator. Let me see. You got a good one. Okay.
Okay. So what you actually see here on the screen is you have, and I'm going to move around with the mouse a little bit. Let me get this mic.
Yep.
If you have multiple inverters, you're going to see the inverters labeled as inverter 1, inverter 2, inverter 3. In this case, you only have one inverter, so it's labeled as inverter 1. Then you're going to have string 1, string 2, and string 3. So you're going to see 1.1 here, which is inverter 1, string 1. Inverter 1, string 2, which is 1.2. Inverter 1, string 3, so 1.3. Underneath each string, you're going to have multiple optimizers. So you're going to have 1.1.1, which is inverter 1, string 1, optimizer number 1. And you can't see additional optimizers here since I had to cut it off and save some space on the screen. But if you had additional optimizers here, it would be, 1.1.2, which is inverter 1, string 1, optimizer number 2, and so on and so forth.
Okay. No, I got to find this one. This one's one that we do get sometimes, and I'll talk about this one a little bit. So the homeowner gets an email from SolarEdge. They can see the email. They look at the hyperlink. They click it. Nothing happens. Okay, so this is you can set up security levels on computers, and sometimes when you have your security level set high enough, links don't work, and that's a security feature of whatever email portal they're using. If you want to enter that link, you can copy it and then paste it into an internet browser at the top, and it'll go to that link. But this is something we've seen sometimes when, for whatever reason, that email server that they have or the email platform or tool that they're using has a security level high enough where the links are not active. You can just copy it and paste it into your browser. So something to think about. And we have that included in that app guide. So the guide that we were talking about earlier to give to a homeowner talks about that. That is something we see commonly enough to add it into our guide. Are there any differences between using the smartphone and the computer in terms of visibility and what they're able to do?
Well, yeah, obviously using the app is a little bit more limited. I would say the key difference is you should probably be using your app either to view site information, or you can be using it to scan a site. Scan the optimizer and equipment serial numbers, and upload it to your monitoring portal when you're out in the field, where a desktop or a laptop might not be easily available. I don't really suggest that you build a physical layout on the app, even though you can. It's a lot more cumbersome. On the actual desktop monitoring portal itself, all features are available, and that's where I would suggest that you build your physical layout. And if you've used your app to scan your serial numbers and you upload it to the monitoring portal, then you can easily go in and really finish the customer site. Assign all the appropriate serial numbers if you haven't already done so. And because you have a mouse and you have a bigger screen, it'll be a much faster process.
Perfect. Now, what is the frequency of data uploads to the monitoring portal?
Okay, that's kind of a tricky question, and the reason why I say it's tricky is it depends on your internet connection. But assuming that you're just connected to standard broadband, um, it actually happens every 5 minutes. If you are one of our residential customers using a low bandwidth plan, it happens once every 4 hours. We do have a commercial GSM plan that also does every 5 minutes. But it depends on how you're connected to the internet.
Okay, excellent. And where exactly do they put the installer logo? You said something about uploading the
Right.
installer logo, and
Right. It's under the admin. You can actually do it either when you're registering your installer account, and it'll be applied to all of your customer sites. Or if you didn't do it during the initial registration process, go under the admin menu, and there's a section that says site details, and you should be able to add your logo there.
perfect. Okay, this one is about in the monitoring. This I think in the charting, you can show power or energy,
Mhm.
and what's the difference between those two displays?
Um, Well, power is going to be in watts, and energy is going to be in kilowatt hours. So, um, I don't know if we need to spend time explaining the difference between watts and or kilowatts and kilowatt hours here, but they're going to be in different units.
Okay, and the reports, can you show individual module production data?
Individual module
Do you
production
get
data.
module level production in the reports? Is there a way to set that up?
I believe the answer is no. Um,
Okay.
I do not think you can do that at this time.
Um, Now, can a homeowner give access to someone else, or do you need an admin privilege to give access to someone else?
You need admin privileges to give access to someone else.
Right. And did you go over the play feature? There is somebody who uses the site to show shade examples to homeowners.
You're talking about the replay feature? I did
The
not go over.
playback.
Yeah, I did not go over that. You're right. I did not have a slide here that talks about it. Actually, right on the screen there is a show playback feature, which you can quickly replay your production over a set period of time, either a week or a day or whatever time period you decide, and it'll show, for example, what happened to each individual module at 6 o'clock versus 7 o'clock versus 8 o'clock, and you can see, as the day progresses from morning to noon to night, that your production is starting up, and then you're at your peak power around noon and 1 o'clock, and then it starts to decay again, in the as the sun's setting. But likewise, if you're experiencing shade, you can see that there are certain modules that are producing less power, at noontime or in the morning or in the evening, when the shade is being applied over those modules, compared to the rest of the modules on the array. But if you're looking on the screen, there's a little drop down menu there called Show Playback, which you can play around with to replay and recap your system's performance over a certain period of time.
Okay. What is required hardware wise for consumption monitoring?
So we sell a consumption meter. Um, if you want to look at consumption, I would suggest you reach out to your salesperson and inquire about the cost of installing a consumption meter, which is available through SolarEdge.
I was looking for information on that, but we can maybe help out with getting that information too. All right. Now, this person they saw that you're checking the site owner when you send the email to the homeowner.
Mm-hmm.
What happens if they haven't been doing that? Or is it still working? Or what if they go back and check it now? Do they need to fix it?
Um, Good question. I actually don't know the answer to that. I'll have to find out.
So if they're adding them and not clicking site owner, it just looks to SolarEdge like it's another installer, I guess.
I think so. I think if they
Mhm.
ever called into tech support and asked them to do certain things, a tech support person may hesitate and say, "Hey, is this really a homeowner that's asking, and should we actually do what this person is asking, or should we not do it?" And they're just a user that's getting viewing access. But I should check on that. I actually don't 100% know the answer of how that actually
Yeah.
impacts the monitoring portal.
But the homeowner should still get the email.
That's correct.
Okay, so it wouldn't affect it that way.
That's correct, and that's actually why I mentioned in the first place that we shouldn't be using this feature to grant access to people who are not homeowners. I know a lot of installers try to use this feature to grant access to like financiers and whatnot, and they just leave that box unchecked, and they kind of assume that's what that feature is for. And there was a time where that's what we used it for, but these days the associated accounts feature is a much better way of sharing sites with third party financiers and whatnot.
Okay, I think we're going to do one last one, and then we're going to wrap it up. We're at 20 minutes after the hour right now. Is there any way to update the layout for the on the? Is there any way to update the layout via the dashboard layout function? Not sure what dashboard. Well, let's just say, how do you update the layout?
Okay.
Maybe that's
Okay.
better.
So yes, there is definitely a way you can update the layout. Say you added additional modules, or you had equipment changed out, and all you have to do is actually go to the admin menu and go to your physical layout editor. There is literally a button that says, edit layout, and you would go in there, similar to how you set up the physical layout when you started. It'll just bring up your current layout, and you can edit, add equipment, remove equipment, and then save and publish your new layout, and that's it.
Great. Well, thanks, Alex, and thank everybody for hanging out with us today. We do want to try and get this up as a recorded webinar, so it's a resource for you. We know we go through a lot of information in this one. We do want to let you know that we will probably follow this up monthly for a while. So if you didn't catch this one or you want to get questions answered in a live webinar, feel free to join us next month when we do this one again. But we will try to get this up as a recorded one. If you're interested in learning about our training schedule, we have a number of road shows going on now. It looks like it's about 15 to 20 that are up on the portal. And in terms of webinars, we have about 4 a month that we're doing right now just to get the education and the information out. You need to go to solaredge.com/us/service/training. And if you're looking at our webpage, all of our training is under the service tab. So if you look at that red bar at the top, you see service, you go to the drop down and you go to training. And I'll walk through what this looks like here. Let's see if I've got it up already. Yep, I do. Okay, so you're on the SolarEdge webpage. This is our homepage. You're going to go to service and you're going to see training, or you can just go down to training. It's a hot link at the bottom. And when you get there, the road shows and seminars, that's what we call these seminars here. These are all the live in-person trainings. And if one of these is in your local area, I recommend you go there and you can get tons of questions answered and we'll spend hours with you. The webinars run about an hour to an hour and a half, depending on the Q&A, and they're all available here. We do have a number of on-demand training resources. So we have webinars. You can see it marked here. These are our recorded webinars. And we also have videos. The videos are a little bit shorter. Those are kind of the how-to videos. So we have, how to install SolarEdge and optimizers, monitoring portal software demo, physical layout editor. This is the one that Alex was talking about. The one that you're going to want if you're doing residential installations is right here. SolarEdge physical layout editor, residential. It's 5.5 minutes. It'll walk you through that physical layout editor so you'll know exactly what to do. SolarEdge monitoring portal. This is an older one, 44 minutes. We'll be replacing this one. So that's where you'll find that resource. Designing systems, optimizing for homeowner energy storage webinar. So all of these resources are available. You have the run times here. So if you have 5 minutes or 10 minutes, or if you're able to spend a good 20 to 40 minutes on the webinars, it's all accessible through this webpage. So we hope this has been a great resource for you. And thank you again for joining us. And thank you, Alex, for being a great tool and educator for our audience today.
Sure, absolutely. Anytime.
And good luck over the weekend, and we'll talk to you again very soon for the next webinar.